Hello, I'm Lauren with IndoorGardening.com, and today we're going to talk about how to care for your spider plant. Spider plants are one of the oldest plants out there to be collected for houseplant purposes. They were one of the original ones to be brought into popularity in people's homes. Spider plants are from the coastal areas of South Africa, so they really don't mind a well-draining mix, and they do not need a lot of care. In a lot of places they are considered invasive. They have been taken from South Africa and spread all across the world. In Australia, they are on the invasive plant list because they will essentially sprout little plantlets next to each other and continue to grow. We do have a video on invasive plants if you'd like to check that out and learn more about why spider plants are invasive, but today we're going to talk about how to care for them. There are 4 varieties of Chlorophytum cosmosum, the spider plant, on the market right now. We have your standard all green version, and then we also have a reverse variegated version. There is a variegated version, and then we have a variegated curly spider plant, also known as a Bonnie spider plant. All of these are very popular, very inexpensive, and very commonly found all around the world. Make sure that you are keeping them inside and not planting them outside to keep them from spreading invasively. Keep them in pots as well if you can. They do have a rhizomatous root system, so that means that they tend to continue growing. Even if they lose all of their foliage, they can sprout again as long as the rhizome underneath is not mushy and has not rotted in any way. This brings us to watering your spider plant. Because spider plants have these very thick tuberous rhizomes, they do not need a lot of water very often. So when you do water your spider plant, wait until it is completely dried out, it's looking very sad, and then you give it some water, and then it will soak up all of that water. It will fill their tuberous rhizomes, will fill their little potato-like tubers down there and hold on to that water and be able to sustain that plant for a really long time. Generally, you just don't have to water it that often. Even in very hot conditions, it will be perfectly fine. Just water it when it looks sad. This, in some cases, can be up to just once a month. So there is no need to go overboard. Very low maintenance, easy care plant as far as the watering goes. Just set it on a shelf and let it go. As far as temperatures go, spider plants can handle a variety of temperatures. They can handle it when it's slightly chilly, almost freezing, and they can handle it when it is very hot and very humid outside, like in tropical conditions. They are from South Africa. It is very warm down there. It generally does not snow. Spider plants are not frost hardy. So just keep that in mind when you're placing them in your room, or if you bring them out in the summertime and you leave them out into the fall time, bring them in before that frost date. Don't set them out when it's still frosty. As far as humidity goes, spider plants are not very temperamental about it. They are coastal plants, so they prefer a higher humidity. They are used to having a lot of water around them, not on them. They like to have quite a bit of humidity in the air there. If they do not have enough humidity, you will notice that their tips are going to get brown and a little crunchy. Perfectly fine. You can just chop those off in a home environment. There is no problem with that. Some people even like to chop and shape their plants so you can't even tell. With spider plants, they have little pointed tips on the ends. It's very easy to do that for you if you choose to do that. But generally you can just go right across in a horizontal manner and just chop off those little brown tips. If you do not want your plant to have brown tips, you can just give them a higher humidity. But spider plants are very easy care. It's not something that they necessarily need in order to make it and continue to push out new growth for you. When you're potting up your spider plants into their pots, just try to do a well-draining mix. Do not do something that is going to retain a lot of moisture. Don't put anything like sphagnum moss in there. Don't do some type of calathea mix. Generally, just some potting mix, 50% perlite, 50% potting mix, and that'll be perfectly fine for it. They are not picky. As long as they're not sitting in a puddle of water, they will be perfectly fine. If you do give them something with quite a bit of bark in it, or some type of an aeroid mix, mix that's probably going to be a little bit too airy. They won't be able to retain enough moisture. Try to give them something with a little more than that. They do have some fine roots along with their tubers, so you do want to give them something smaller, finer grain to kind of grip on. Like I said before, they are from the coast, so something with perlite or sand to go with the soil will help them grip on a little bit better, as well as give them a well draining mix so that the water will just run through, they can soak it up and then be done. We talked a little bit about how spider plants are invasive. They are invasive because they are so easily propagated. Spider plants will grow a whole bunch of little plantlets from one giant stem. It can take up to 2 years for a spider plant to reach maturity and start pushing out that long stem. The stem will have flowers and it will have plantlets so they can produce seed pods from those flowers. They do not need their flowers pollinated in order to make those spider plantlets. The flowers will produce seed pods if they are pollinated, but the little plantlets will grow from that stem for you. They will start off as one teeny tiny little leaf and continue to grow from there. They will get bigger. They will become an entire plantlet. You can put them in a little glass of water while they're still attached to the plant. You can remove them from the plant and put them in a glass of water. You can reproduce them in a prop box. We will have a video on that shortly. You can also just take the stem and tuck the little plantlet back up while still attached to the mother plant in the pot. Just pin it down in there and then it will grow roots from there, making your plant more bushy than it already is. Spider plants do not need a lot of light. If you give them full direct sun, sometimes they can burn depending on how bright that sun is, but they are from South Africa, so they do tend to grow more quickly if you give them more light. If you pull them back and you put them on a dark bookshelf away from the light, they can still grow as well. They just grow much, much slower. They will not pass away though. They are very, very hardy plants. They survive the coast of South Africa. They can definitely continue growing in your home on a bookshelf. But these plants are very easy care plants. Highly recommend them. There's a reason they have been such a popular plant for so long. There's a reason they were one of the first plants someone was brave enough to bring into their home to grow in a collection. Very hardy, great for beginners. The only caveat is try not to water them too much. Hopefully this helps you a little bit to make your spider plant a little bit more happy. And if you have been on the fence about spider plants, maybe this will encourage you to get one. A lot of folks are worried that they're a common plant and they're not worth the time, but I assure you these plants are amazing plants and you will not regret having big, beautiful, variegated foliage hanging around your home and you don't even have to do much for it. Don't forget to check out indoorgardening.com. There are lots of tips and tricks there. We are always happy to help. Thank you so much for watching and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!